Welcome to Attribute Shift. This is our first episode. I'm joined by Brax, and the goal of this podcast is to be a little shorter, a little more digestible, and to shift how you think about certain topics in Dota. So thanks for joining me, Brax. How you doing this? It's not quite morning for you, but we'll call it morning.
This is morning for me. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, of course.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, it's going to be fun. It's going to warm you up. I'm going to give you 10 pieces of news. After each piece of news, tell me love, hate, or don't care.
Okay.
You ready? Okay. Rocket League goes free to play.
Don't care.
3,000 series cards instantly sell out.
Don't care.
Fnatic changes their Dota roster.
I care a lot. Love it.
Love it. Got it. Smash Brothers announces that the new characters will be from Minecraft.
Don't care.
BlizzCon says that they will run online for the next BlizzCon.
Don't care. This is news to me.
Dota Pit releases their third-party casting rules for Dota.
Love it.
Okay. Twitch releases a beta sign-up for a DMCA-free music app to be used while streaming.
What's the middle option? Because
love, hate, or don't care.
Oh, dang it. It could be good, but it could also be super lame, right? I don't actually know. So I guess don't care. Just not because I don't actually care, but because I'm in the middle. Okay. It could actually be good.
Okay. Thompson has a baby.
Love it, but I need to explain. This is just proof that old guys rule. Thompson's 22, but he has a kid, so he's in an old state of mind. He can keep up. So, it's good for me.
Microsoft buys Bethesda.
Don't care.
Pro Dota players and streaming.
Hate it. Absolutely hate it.
Good segue into our first topic. Definitely wasn't planned. Brax, do you stream?
I do stream. I stream almost every day, but I am a terrible streamer in terms of consistency because whenever tournaments come around or it's time to practice, it's so hard to balance everything.
Mm-hmm. So, do you like streaming?
Honestly, I do, but it's probably because of my personality. Whenever I do something, I'm super into it and I want to try really hard and do my best at it and everything. And honestly, because sometimes I'm lonely and it's nice to talk to strangers on the internet. So, yeah.
So, you said you have a hard time with consistency, but then you just said you stream pretty much every day. So, it's that tournament consistency that gets in the way. We lost him, folks. Okay, so before we lost Brax, because, with Dota, there's always technical difficulties. That's the rule. I was asking, he says he likes to stream every day, but consistency becomes a problem because of tournaments. Does that bother you that you don't get to stream, or with tournaments going on, you forget about it?
Honestly, it's my first priority is still a competitor. So I'm not sad about missing it, but obviously it sucks for viewers because my schedule is all over the place. I have no set schedule. Sometimes I'll stream in the morning, sometimes I'm up in the middle of the night. It just really becomes random, and honestly, for viewers, that sucks.
So there's some successful Dota streamers. Who comes to mind when you think of Dota streamers that are doing well in the streaming world?
I think Arteezy, of course, Admiral Bulldog, Gorksy. And I guess once you get past those three people, you kind of enter a different tier. Right, you enter for American streamers, you enter the Mason BSJ level, and I don't really watch too many of the European streamers. The hours just don't line up for me very well, so it's just that, I guess.
Yeah, so that doesn't leave viewers with a lot of options for what to watch, right? Do you think that tournaments would have more viewers if, Gork was playing in a tournament? Do you think his audience would turn up? Or do you think you'd see a huge increase in a small tier 2 tournament if Bulldog was playing?
I definitely think so. These are really high profile people that will attract a lot of eyes no matter what they do, honestly. They could be streaming themselves AFK for 45 minutes and you just see their chair and people would still watch. It doesn't actually matter. But yeah, it definitely does make a difference. These guys have huge audiences, and they'll pretty much follow them anywhere they go.
Okay. Do you think that Dota pros have the opportunity to build that audience? Like, do you think that it's an untapped market?
It's definitely an untapped market, but right now, I think people are paying a bit more attention to streaming just because there's fewer tournaments going on. There's not really a future for DPC, especially in North America. And Dota's a weird game. You know, TI rolls around and everything is TI focused. It's a big reason why there's few sponsors in the market. There's a big reason why teams are incredibly unstable. It's weird to say this, but in my opinion, TI is the reason why the scene is so messed up to begin with. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone in that opinion. And so as we've hit kind of all these tournaments have gone away, has your schedule changed? Have you noticed a slowdown?
So my schedule is probably the worst it's ever been. I wake up at different hours every single day, and I go to bed at different hours every single day. And it's honestly because I have no obligations. I have nothing to do with my life at the moment, so it's hard to try to keep a schedule when there's nothing to do. That's how I feel. You know, personally, I'm giving streaming X amount of time and seeing what happens after that, and then I'm going to move on, whether it's real life, whether it's Dota stuff, whether it's just something, because can't wait any longer, honestly.
Yeah, so are you not feeling particularly stable right now?
Oh, I don't think I've ever felt stable playing Dota in these last 15 or so years, to be honest.
Okay, so that side of things hasn't changed. Now you mentioned there's not a lot of sponsors in Dota. Now we see a lot of sponsors for European things. On NA teams, what sponsors can you remember having?
So I was a part of Cloud9 for a tiny bit for 3 months.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah, and then there was Navi US. That was a long time ago, and that was also for an extremely short period of time, and it was just for TI. Is there anything else? I don't actually think so.
Do you remember?
Beans Coast.
Did you have to do any sponsorship? Did you have to do anything with sponsors for those deals, or you were just with an org and you just played and got paid?
We were just with an org and played, but I have no issues with doing anything for the sponsors. Like if they want me to, fly out to something to do some fan meet or to do some sponsored activity, I actually have no problems with that. I actually like doing all that stuff. Because for me, the most surreal experience is meeting fans, and they're super happy to meet the faces behind the names and everything. And still, for me to this day, it's an amazing experience. So I actually like doing all that stuff.
Have you ever seen any of RTZ's sponsored tweets and videos?
I have, and they're funny to a way because it's just the most obvious. He doesn't try to hide the fact that it's an ad, so it's kind of funny.
So if you were doing those ads, would you try and hide it, or would you go for the really awkward, this is an ad, guys, take a look in this box approach?
I would just try to have fun with it, and I think the way I would do it was by being I'd be super into it. Blah 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 is the best product I've ever used. This thing changed my life. All the over exaggerated stuff to, make it look good, of course.
Of course. All right. Do you have a dream the if you could? Who would you wanna promote? The best thing ever. What would be?
I've actually given this some thought lately. So I would want a food sponsor because I like to eat, but it would also have to be healthy. It has to be healthy, or something that I can pass off as healthy. Like if I'm getting a bowl from Chipotle every day, that's good. Give me the gold card.
Okay, fair enough. So Beyond the Summit had an Uber Eats sponsorship for one of their events. And they did a whole bunch of really cool content with it. Would that be up your alley?
Oh yeah, definitely. Anything like that, I would be so excited for.
Okay, and so that's going to bring up, I'm going to call it a more sensitive topic. There was recently a little bit of discussion in the community because I believe Slacks was on a podcast, and he made the comment that without Grand Grant around, NA Dota sort of suffers, and so there's an opportunity, and I'm quoting here, and I'm terribly sorry to Slacks if I misrepresent what you were saying, but I believe he tweeted about it as well, and his main idea was, hey, there's this hole in the space because nobody is, doing what he used to do. And I'm curious your thoughts on this. What does the NA space need in terms of content? Is Slacks right that there's a big hole left? Or is there a much deeper problem at play?
See, this is interesting, because to say that there is a hole that needs to be filled or can be filled is pretty strange, because this is probably like, if he never existed to begin with, people wouldn't have had that need to begin with. I think people just miss the idea of him and that he did bring something unique. But at the same time, people would never have realized that they liked that sort of thing unless it was already there. So I don't feel the same way as Slacks in that regard. But in terms of like, he says content in general, right? But I'm taking this to like casting and paneling. There's always going to be room for someone else to step up and fill those shoes of that person's role or what they bring individually to these events and stuff. So
yeah, I think
I don't know. I kind of got sidetracked halfway through.
No,
Sorry,
go
ahead.
It's a hard topic to talk about, because I certainly don't want to diminish what happened. And I do want to say, though, that there's a lot of information we have about you guys as NA pros, that was a result of that content. Do you
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so do you think that pros are going to be willing to start volunteering that information themselves, right? Like a small podcast like this, or joining in with Cap and Leaf Eater or Slacks or Sunsfan. And so, do you think that's something the players want? Because you've had your foot in both realms a lot more so than other players.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something they want to do? Will someone be able to convince them to do that? Or is that era kind of gone?
If it's going to come from anywhere, it's definitely going to come from people who have been within Dota for an extremely long period of time. And it'll probably be players, realistically. A lot of the casters are, I feel like some of them are newer. And by newer, I mean like within the last 5, 6, 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
I know Coddle Guy's been around forever, but he's doing other stuff with Beyond the Summit. But I have no issue sharing these things. It's just they're not about me, so I don't feel like I have the green light to say some not so savory things about people.
I gotta say, though, there's so many good stories out there that don't get... Okay, this is where I'm going to sidetrack for a moment. You've had a lot of cool things happen. And I worked Jungle Jam with you. I've known you for a while at this point. And you have this attitude of, oh, people won't care. Oh, that's not that cool. And honestly, I think there's a lot of stories that you guys have that aren't going to be throwing anyone under the bus, that people actually would care about. Do you see that happen? Like, do you see another player talk about something and then never want to share it because they'll think it's boring? Or is this just me?
It's usually not because it's boring. It's usually because not that many things happen and makes people look bad. It slanders their character a little bit. Maybe they're not, sunshine and roses all the time.
Okay, I mean, that's fair. So you need someone who's willing to tell those stories.
Yeah, exactly. Like if I was sitting down with Bulba or someone, and we were both open to talking a little shit about each other and, putting things out there, that could be really fun. And there's definitely a lot of things that happen. Honestly, people just want to know these things because it helps them build an actual person and humanizes the name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you actually know a bit about this person's personality and their experiences rather than just them playing Dota or just what you see on their stream. And it's actually really important, especially for building brands, and it's just interesting, right? Everyone wants to know.
Yeah, and I think that you've, like I said, experienced that a little more than most because of Moonduck, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You get to clown around with Sunsfan regularly, and I think that's a different experience. Do you remember the sort of first time you did personality-driven content with them?
Yes, I was so bad. I was so awful. Like, it's hard to work with people that you've never worked with before because you don't know their tendencies, how long they're going to speak on something. I don't know if I'm interrupting them, all that sort of thing. But eventually I get used to it, I guess.
Do you think that that's something that holds players back from wanting to do content, is fear or embarrassment or not knowing what they're doing?
Yeah, I think in general people are really afraid to say the wrong thing. Nobody wants to like say something that isn't just so general that they can't be wrong, if that makes sense. Nobody wants to put their opinion out there and have a chance to be wrong or upset some people that may not agree. Not even upset, just not agree with.
So the solution might be to do content that has absolutely nothing to do with anything knowledge based, I guess. I don't know. Would you I'm so curious. I've done a lot of content with Dota players, and there's so many different ways to go about it. There's the super analytical breakdown, do guides, talk about their playing, the drafting process. There's completely random, like when people do those videos where they answer the most Googled questions about themselves, or blind hot sauce taste testing. And then there's where I throw you on screen and ask you to tell me what tweets are from Slacks and what are from a bot. Does that less serious content make it easier for players? Or are they still worried about not being funny?
I think the less serious stuff definitely helps people open up a bit. Once they realize it's not so serious, it probably helps with that. Like, imagine if you had, let's say this is, Epicenter Grand Finals 2.0, right? Team Secret won again for the 800 millionth time, 3-0, of course. They completely dumpster them. And then, the after party consists of you get the after show now, right? And it's just Dota players sitting around the campfire telling stories. Maybe they've had a drink or two so they can actually loosen up and, not be so wound up. And, like, I feel like everyone would want to see something like that. Just people talking in their own natural, habitat without having to worry about being camera ready and everything like that. They're just talking.
Okay. All right. Let's get a just talking. Pretend you're a just chatting streamer. And you played in China at one point. Do you remember the first time you tried to go out and navigate around by yourself?
I don't, but I can imagine. I remember what it was like.
Okay.
Because, the second time was no worse than the first time. I still couldn't speak Chinese. I still needed help.
So this is a throwback. People think of you as an NA pro and they forget about LGD International.
Yeah, we were garbage for everyone out there that doesn't remember.
Actually, I have an important story. I've always wanted to know. You remember it was G League or something like that? The infamous GIFs with the 80s Michael Jackson jackets and the like.
I still got it.
Yeah. What was that shoot like? I want to take me, whoever's watching this, through the process that generated, honestly, probably my favorite Dota content of all time.
Okay, now I'm really glad you asked this, actually, because this is good and I can go into a lot of detail about it. So this is my first LAN in Dota 2, and I thought everything was awesome at first. We're in a hotel, we walk to the TV studio, that's where the group stages played, and then the finals was played at the Mercedes-Benz Arena, blah, blah, blah. And so we get to the TV studio, and they're like, it's media day. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. We're going to take some pictures, maybe do some interviews, but, we don't speak Chinese, so we probably won't do very much, blah, blah, blah. Pretty cool. You end up sitting waiting for hours and hours because it takes so long. And when we finally get to the photo thing, it's like, they're slapping makeup on us, and it's the Chinese beauty stuff, so they're making us, like, super pale and everything. And, at first I'm like, whatever, everyone does it. It's not so bad. I don't actually mind too much, but some of the guys are like super sensitive about it. Like, no, I don't want to wear makeup, blah, 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 that kind of shit. And when we get to the poses that I'm sure everyone remembers, the super embarrassing poses and, the slow reels and all that, they told us to look cool. They're like, just look cool. And I'm like, I told them I'm new. I don't know what cool looks like. Can you explain? And they showed me some poses, and I'm like, I didn't think any of those were cool. They're crossing their arms. One dude's pushing up his glasses like the anime stuff, and I'm just like, can you just tell me what to do? And then he's like, no, pick something you like. And I was like, I don't like any of this stuff. That's the problem. So I sat there and argued with the camera dude for like half an hour. I kept asking my teammates, and I'm like, what the hell did you guys do? And they're like, we did something really cool. Don't worry, you'll see when it happens. I think that's what Pycat said, and he was doing the finger guns.
Oh.
But like, it was just such a mess. And eventually, like, the guy got mad and he gave in. He was like, just do this, pretend like your opponents are over there and you're challenging them. So you're gonna do this. And that's how I ended up with that super awkward, what was it? Me raising my finger going, no, no, no. Which, of course, my family never likes to let me live down.
Well, it's my mission to tweet that video at least 4 times a year. So the fact that I now get to go back and edit it in onto this video as you're talking about it so people know what you're talking about makes me
beautiful.
Happy. I really want to be alive. Would you say that's the worst media day experience you've had?
I guess it's the worst because it was also my first. It would have been worse if it wasn't my first and I already knew what to expect and they were making me do something I didn't want to do. Because like nowadays, I guess there's so much power with the players that tournament organizers and staff are so scared to do anything players don't like that like they'll just be okay with anything. But yeah, I guess so. It was a shocker, but in the end I get to look back at it and laugh, so good experience.
Do you think this fear of offending players is holding tournaments back from unique content or giving something new to the fans?
So I think the short answer, yes, but I think it's because it hasn't been done that well in the past. I think there is a very good way to do it in a way that is not just fixated on the mistake, if that makes sense. There's a way to do it where you can make yourself not look like an idiot. And people have failed to hit that mark in the past, and they come across as kind of ignorant because they're not open to the idea that perhaps it's something they don't understand. But if there's a way to, at the same time, maybe they shouldn't care, and it shouldn't be that big of a deal. And of course, I'm biased because this is my perspective from the player's point of view. There's also a chance that it maybe just shouldn't matter. So I guess I don't really know because I haven't seen it in other games either. I don't know if you have any opinions on that, but I'd be interested to hear.
I think it depends on the game, but a lot of other games will do more with the players. If you look at an ESL for CSGO, they have a press room that players are required to be in with their team to do content with press, either written or video. If you go to an ESL Dota 2 event, they will not necessarily have that. It is a different setup between the two games. And I do think that's cultural. I think you're right. Players aren't doing things constantly in any game. Their focus should be playing. But Dota does seem to deprioritize content in my limited experience.
It's definitely on the extreme of very little content.
Yeah. Okay, so do you remember the content you've had the most fun with? Something that you just enjoyed, and it could be graved by Gabe, just saying.
That was a good one. Malastrix actually reminded me of that yesterday. I was talking to him, and he was like, "You know what? You should do you should have that clip of you doing of you being Gabe introducing Jungle Jam when somebody subscribes or follows or something like that." And I was like, "That's a really good idea."
I might even have it for you. You might be able to dig it up.
Oh, that would be amazing. But my 2 favorite ones were definitely when I was fake Gabe announcing Jungle Jam. I got my shirt. I could have done it better. I could have had my shirt up a little higher with my belly hanging out, something like that. But it was that and the fake jerseys that Malastrix did at the Bucharest Minor. It was team, and we had these really shitty jerseys. It was Shane's idea, and we did some skit on it. That was pretty cool.
Okay, so there is content out there.
Yeah, it's just hard to find.
If you are going to give one message to your fellow NA Dota players, because I think pretty much everyone can agree that NA Dota is probably in the worst place of all of the regions right now.
Yeah.
I honestly think SA might even have more tournaments. I'm not sure. But NA Dota is struggling. We'll say SA is as well. I mean, we can say both are. If you were to give an honest message to the viewers, the fans, the people on Reddit, and to your fellow players, what do you want to communicate that would actually help and improve things?
All right, this is where I have to be brutally honest. Guys, get the hell out of NA. There's no future here. There's no hope. Go back to the motherland in Europe. But, I mean, I'm half serious, half joking, because the recent future doesn't look very good. But I might be alone on this one, but I personally believe that the reason why the scene is small is because there's a lack of funding.
No.
I don't think there's any incentive for players outside of the very, very top to keep playing. Like, from my experience, I've seen the amount of money I make playing these things, and yeah, it's sad. And it's not a livable wage. And in other places, it may be a livable wage. So,
Yeah, cost of
yeah,
living is
get
higher
on the content.
in NA.
Yeah, definitely. The cost of living is higher.
Do you
So,
see a future where rather than an org providing salary and an org getting sponsors? Because if you think about the amount of money that a sponsor gives to an org that then trickles down to players. Do you see players getting agents and going after their own deals?
if there are large enough, for sure. But I think very few people have hit that mark where they are large enough.
Now, here's a thought for every NA Dota player out there that is not making a living wage or is barely making a living wage. As someone who has seen the salaries in NA, Dota players definitely make up for that based on prize pool. So if you don't win anything, you're struggling. There are a lot of companies that pay a decent amount of money for a basic tweet. Brax, would you promote Raid Shadow Legends and have them be your sponsor? I don't know if you get the meme. It's a meme. But would you do it? Would you promote mobile games? Would you work with an agent? Or do you find that to be too distracting from playing?
I would do whatever means necessary to attempt to live my dream. And if that is the easiest or an available path, I would definitely do it. And speaking about Raid Shadow Legends, they actually, I had a thing with them too. I said yes, and then I never followed up. So, bad on me.
Okay, well, fair enough. The goal of Attribute Shift is to keep this a little shorter and more digestible than some of the other wonderful Dota podcasts out there. So I'm going to let you go. Before you go, please do the shameless plug for everywhere for people to find you. Because the bigger your numbers are, the more willing people are to give you money. And that's what's going to save NA Dota, right?
That's right, everybody. Dollars. Braxlikesdota on Braxlikesdota on Twitter.com. Braxton.Pulse on Instagram. Braxton911 on Twitch.television. Make sure you guys follow me there. I appreciate each and every one of you guys out there listening. Thank you, Renessa, for having me, of course. And I just wanted to say thank you to the fans. You guys are all what make this happen. Without the fans, there wouldn't be a competitive scene. And yeah, none of this stuff would be possible today.
Well, we appreciate you. Remember, guys, turn on the notifications for his stream because clearly the schedule is ridiculous. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the concept of Attribute Shift. And, I will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching, everyone.